We are back again after a little bit of a hiatus. We had a couple weeks off, and I'm Darren,
I'm Noah.
and we're back again from beautiful Studio 26. We've got a little bit of a sort of an update, I guess, to start out with. We are changing formats a little bit.
Yeah, so we kind of talked it over and decided that maybe an hour was too long, at least for some people, because we want to get our views higher, and we realize that sitting down for 30 minutes a week and listening to it is probably a lot easier than sitting down for an hour. And, if the views do start going up a lot, we can always kind of reformat things again once we have a more established audience and we go back to an hour.
Reformat again, and then the views drop again. Then we go back and change it again, and it's just never ending.
Constantly changing. But yeah, so from now on, I think we're just going to stick with one topic.
Per episode.
Yeah,
30
topic
minutes
per episode. And if it is a topic that we can talk about more, we can split it up into more than one episode. That way,
part one, part two.
Yeah.
So, what is
go ahead.
What is today's topic?
So we're gonna be, and I realize we're a little bit late to this. This is just how kind of life.
It's like a week late.
Card. Well, we're recording this on a Monday, and it's coming out on a Friday, so I'd say it's about 2 weeks late.
Right.
But it's going to be a hot topic for a while, and might as well cash in on the controversy.
Right.
So we're going to be talking about the slap heard around the world, where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. And if you somehow haven't heard of this, go look it up real quick. It's like 2 minutes. And we're just going to be kind of talking about that situation, our opinions on it, all that kind of good stuff. So
right. So, yeah, it happened like a week ago, as of this recording, and I don't watch the Oscars. I don't know if I've ever actually sat down and watched an entire thing. And I was probably online or something, and I saw where it popped up, and I watched the video, found the uncensored video and watched it, and before we get into this, I know a lot of people are probably sick of hearing about this, so this could backfire on us. Be like, I am had enough of this.
yeah.
But it is sort of, there's opinions to be made on it, and so I think that's why we're gonna. And it is sort of a hot topic, And the thing is, it's not. In a way, it'll never go away because it's on film, and it'll be around. 100 years from now, people will still know that incident and the crazy thing that happened at the Oscars, so, but I mean, that's, it's a hot topic. I think that's why we decided to.
I think the crazy thing about it all is that it all happened on live TV.
Right.
So everyone was just kind of like, holy crap. And then I couldn't imagine being the crew in charge of filming and airing it all. Like, what could have been going on in their minds when that happened. Just thinking, what do we do? Like,
right.
do we just cut the broadcast? Like,
well, they cut the audio.
Yeah, and that was good because multiple F-bombs were dropped
right.
on live TV, and that's a big no-no. But
and they have
but there were places that it wasn't cut too.
Yeah, foreign countries, I guess it wasn't, but in the States you have when you do a live show, there's typically I think it's a 10-second delay, so they can delay that, that which is what happened, and they cut the audio. There's like I think it's a 10-second delay on audio, so if something happens like that, they can immediately block it,
Mm-hmm. That'd be a stressful job, just constantly listening for people to mess up.
Well,
and
you hope that those people are even if someone, let's say it's a comedian that's well, in the old days they called it a blue comic, like Chris Rock, it would be using a lot of adult language, I guess. You would hope they'd be professional enough to go, okay, this is not the right platform, but to talk that way. And sometimes it slips. Somebody gets in the heat of the moment or something. But I honestly, when it first happened, thought it was a prank.
I think that's what a lot of people thought too, because those are both two very respectable and respected actors, comedians, just everything they've done in their lives. And for something that explosive and emotion-filled to happen, especially on
live
one of
TV.
yeah, and especially at the Oscars, you
Right.
know, this isn't
Right.
like just some random interview like they found Will Smith and Chris Rock walking down Hollywood Boulevard or something. It's literally at the Oscars, and
Right.
it's people talked about how big of a night this was for Will Smith because
Mm-hmm.
I think they said this was his first year, something with Best Actor. I don't know.
Right.
I don't keep
Right.
up with the Oscars, but I definitely watched this clip a couple times.
Well, like I said, I thought it was a prank, and I watched it, and I watched it, and I watched it, and I thought, well, okay. And my first thought it was just an elaborate, you know, whatever. And I thought, so I even posted in some different spots. You know, Andy Kaufman would be proud
Hmm.
because it was like if they pulled that off, and it was some elaborate prank, and obviously it wasn't. And I've heard that they wanted Will Smith to leave, like the
I heard
Oscars,
about that like a couple days after.
yeah, they wanted him to leave, and he refused to leave, and I think, which it's like, I don't know, maybe they just didn't push the issue because they could have easily got security and walked him out if they wanted, and I guess they didn't want to make a bigger scene. I don't know the specifics, but you see there's some other footage of Chris Rock. He's bewildered, like, somebody else came up on stage and got an award, Questlove or whatever his name is, who's a musician. And it was right after this happened. And they're just like, he's just still standing there like, what happened? Like Chris
Hmm.
Rock is just bewildered.
Yeah, and he was like fumbling with his words and stuff. And
Yeah,
I think anybody would do that, though.
right. He handled it really good.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
he handled it like a champ.
I
And he
mean, he didn't go off, and he just was stunned. I think the thing is there's opinions on both sides, and some people say, well, Will Smith was standing up for his wife, and although she's done a lot of bad things to Will Smith, a lot of people are saying, she's kind of and I'm just going by what I've heard. She's kind of deceitful or whatever. I don't know, but I think there's two things that I kind of took from this. Is for one, you know, there's a lot of comics out there that do the sort of insult humor.
oh yeah,
And of course, one of my all-time favorites is Don Rickles, who was the master. I mean, this guy. I know you're not familiar with Don, but Don had a 50-some-year career, and he would just tear into people and say the craziest stuff. But everybody loved him for it because it was like a honor to get insulted by Don Rickles, But he would insult. I mean, just you got to watch some of these clips. It's like, oh my god. But that's what comedians do, whether they're an insult comic or not. That's what they do. They make jokes, and to have someone come up. I mean, even at a comedy, like a live stand-up show, you get hecklers sometimes,
yeah,
and they may get off the stage. You're not funny, and just heckle the comedian, but they don't get up and smack the comedian. I mean, that's totally unheard of. And then the fact that it was a major star like Will Smith, he kind of lost his mind there for a minute or something. And I think and now he's he there's a lot of people that are like not happy with him for that. And I mean, a lot of his friends even and people he's acted with and starred with are like, look, this was a big mistake.
yeah. I think, and to me, it's surprising kind of how split a lot of things are. Like from my perspective, looking at this situation, it's like, okay, I can understand why he got upset. But you look at even some of the past Oscar hostings, they're always poking fun at everybody.
Oh yeah, that's what they did.
Like it's not just say this, say that.
Well,
They're trying to make it enjoyable and funny.
They've had a lot of comedians,
Yeah.
been the host of over the years. Have been a lot of comedians that have hosted the Oscars, and so that's what they do. They poke fun at the actors and films, and I don't know. So I said, well, maybe Chris Rock didn't know that Jada Smith had that alopecia, the disease where you lose your hair. Maybe he didn't know. And even if he did, like I said, he's a comedian. That's what he does. And
Yeah,
that's,
I've heard way worse
Oh, yeah.
jokes, way
Yeah.
less tasteful. I didn't think it was that bad. And it's not like something she has tried to hide or anything like that. Like she's been very open about it.
right.
It wasn't like anything so terrible that I think needed to cause that. Like, if, in my opinion, if they genuinely had a problem with it, they could have talked to Chris after the show
Right.
or something like
Right.
that and be like, hey,
Right.
we understand you're trying to be funny, but to us that was crossing a line.
Right. Well, I
And
mean,
I feel like Chris would have been like, okay, like, I understand that. Thanks for coming.
well, yeah, there's
to me.
multiple photos and stuff in the past of Chris Rock hanging out with Will Smith at, like, NBA games and functions, and so they know each other, and that's the thing. They know each other, and it's like, you know, he could have easily heckled Chris. He could have said, "Hey, man, that's not funny," or whatever, which he did after the fact very strongly. But the fact that he got up and slapped Chris, that's the problem. Like, you can heckle all you want, and that's sort of expected. Or somebody, people boo, or they, "Oh, man, that's not funny. That's too much." But to get up and smack somebody, and then, it's just it. I think he I just think he lost his head. I don't know what he thought he was going to accomplish by that, or even if he thought he was going to accomplish anything. It's almost like he just lost it, and
Well,
I don't know what he thought was going to happen, the results.
what I see a lot of people talking about is that it was all Jada's her name, right?
Yeah.
When you watch the clip of, like, where you can see Will Smith and Jada as Chris Rock is telling the joke, you see Will Smith just laughing, like, looks like he enjoyed the joke.
Yeah,
like,
he was
had no
laughing.
problem with it.
Yeah.
But then you see next to him, Jada just has this terrible look on her face.
Right. She rolled her eyes.
A lot of people are thinking, like, okay, Will thought it was funny, but then he looked over and saw Jada and was like, well, crap, now I got to do something.
Yeah.
And, I think...
But he went too far.
Yeah, he went way too far.
He could have easily have heckled, like I said. He could, or like you said, he could easily have talked on a commercial break or after this, And I think what people are really, the people that are really sort of pro, I don't know if you'd even say it, pro Chris Rock on this side, or on his side, or whatever, is the fact that, Will Smith wouldn't leave, apparently. He was asked to leave, and he wouldn't. And then after, received his award. And then, there's first photos after, after the event where they're all partying and Will Smith's dancing and he's laughing, just like nothing happened. And it's like, and that's, I think, I don't know. I think I posted somewhere, someone was talking about this last week, and I said, okay, next time I'm at work and one of my coworkers pisses me off, I'm going to go slap the shit out of him.
Yeah.
What's going to happen then?
Exactly. That's what...
they're going to fire me, man.
That's what I was going to lead up to the next time I spoke up. The thing is, you look at this situation and all you can think about is, like, if this was anybody else that wasn't extremely famous, one of the biggest stars, they would have been escorted out of that building immediately. Or even if it just was an average person,
I think,
like, if you went up there and hit somebody, regardless if it was Chris Rock or anybody,
right,
you would have been immediately escorted out, pressed charges on. And I understand Chris Rock, that was up to him to press charges, and he decided not to.
Right.
I think that's very, like, humble of him, because and humble and kind of mature thinking. Like, I've known Will Smith. This was a bad moment for him. I'm not going to make it any worse than it already is.
Right.
But yeah, just the fact that, okay, I'm one of the biggest stars in Hollywood.
Right.
I can go up there and I can do anything I want, pretty much. And
see,
when the place asks me to leave, I can just say no, and nothing happens.
Right.
Like, I don't think that's right. I think people sometimes will get so famous and so big-headed that they can sometimes just feel invincible, like they're untouchable, pretty much.
Right.
And I don't think that's good. I think regardless of who you are in the world, you still need to be held accountable, because if you're not, then crazy stuff like this happens.
Right. Yeah, and I don't really think, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of either one of those guys. Like, I'm not a fan of, I've seen some of Chris Rock's stand-up, and I've seen him in movies like Grown Ups and which is kind of I wouldn't say a family film, but it's it's PG-13. It's
I would consider it a family film, kind of.
a little bit edgy, but in places,
It's
but
not
yeah,
too bad.
it's
No.
not horrible. But and I there's a lot of stuff Will Smith's done that I love the Men in Black films, and he's done a lot of good stuff, and
Hmm.
I've always thought he seemed like a very intelligent guy,
Yeah.
and but I'm not sure he's done some really dramatic films too, along with the action stuff and the comedy or sci-fi but I don't know. It's you say, well, maybe with he's stuff he's been going on with his personal life, with his marriage,
Hmm.
has not been good the last couple years, and it's like he just basically lost his mind for a split second. You got to say, well, what was the outcome going to be? He had to know surely that there was going to be some outcome, and so then you go, well, was he so arrogant that, like you said, was he's like this Hollywood superstar? They're like, well, they're not going to do anything. They're like, what are they going to do to me? I didn't hurt him. I just slapped him.
Hmm.
Or did he not even think about that because he was so in the moment of being angry? Although, as you said, he was laughing
Yeah.
until she rolled her eyes, and then it was like she rolled her eyes, and then it sort of cut away to Chris. So we don't know what was said, or something was said between Jada and Will, but she rolled her eyes. Chris started to progress on with the piece, and then here comes Will on stage. So
Yeah.
it,
And Chris had he had his hands behind his back. He was stuck out, like leaned in to like see if Will had something to
I
say
think,
to
yeah,
him.
I think he thought he was going to
And
say something.
well, yeah, as you would think,
Yeah, he was not defensive at all.
No,
Right?
but we learned one thing without a doubt from this situation is that Chris Rock has a jaw of stone.
Well, I don't know that I'd go that far.
Well,
It was an open hand slap. Let's
yeah, but still, if you're extended, no defense at all, and someone just open hand slaps you right to the jaw, and it was a pretty hard
I mean,
slap.
we could try and recreate that
Well,
here. I'm slapping you. You're not slapping me.
of course.
Because I'm the older guy. I don't
But
wanna
no, he like instantly recovered from it, and he just like didn't let it phase him.
Yeah.
I think
It was,
would have been,
and I think that's why I thought it was fake, because it was so, he just went with it, and it was like,
yeah,
okay.
he handled it great.
Yeah, and I think that's why I thought it was a sham, and it, but then unless it would have, yeah, the way it ended, I thought, okay, this, after seeing the video a few times and watching a few things, I thought, okay, this is not a prank.
Hmm.
So, it was just really stupid. I mean,
Yeah, and I think it's kind of, I don't really know, the disrespectful in a way too, that he still got the Oscar, which I can kind of understand, but the fact that he had the longest ever speech after.
did he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I seen that somewhere, that he had the longest acceptance speech ever.
We'll have to fact check that, but
I'm pretty sure that's true.
they usually cut them off. The music starts playing, and then they cut them off. Is what usually
Um,
happens. But
Well, they might have tried doing that, and he just stayed up there. You never
who
know.
knows?
There's
There's
but-
different ways to look at this too, because there's people who say, well, he stood up for his wife. He was a man. He stood up for his wife. And then there's people that go, no, look, that she didn't need anyone standing up for her. If she's a strong woman, she doesn't need
Yeah,
she doesn't need the hero swinging in to save her.
Yeah.
And then of course, there's people who are just, they say, well, the people start making it a race issue, and I don't even want to touch that because, everybody,
I don't even think that applies here, because they were all of the same race.
Well, yeah, but I think I've heard people say, well, there's people that say, there's a couple people that was really offended by this, and they said, the fact that everybody was black, they said, well, look how it makes us look now. Look how it makes the black race look. We got, look at what happened, And so there's people that are offended by that because of that. And then there's people who say, well, if this had been a white guy, nothing would have happened to him. So
nothing did happen to him.
Well, no, it technically hasn't, although they say they're investigating it. So who knows what they
Yeah,
might do.
I seen
he resigned from the Academy.
Really?
Yeah, he resigned. Like 2 days later, he had announced he was resigning from the Academy. So he sort of took himself out of that, and which they may have done anyway. They may have said, "Hey," and there's been a few others that have been banned from the Academy Awards or dumped from the Academy or whatever. But it'll be interesting to see in time if both guys talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure at least Chris Rock will, because he's a comedian,
right?
There's definitely going to be jokes made about it.
Well, he has a brother that's also a stand-up comedian, and I saw this clip. His brother was doing a show somewhere a couple days ago, and just went off, and he's like, how dare you slap my brother, and he said there's like 10 of us, there's like 10 kids in the family. Like I guess Chris Rock has like 8 or 9 brothers, sisters, whatever. And he was just like, he was furious that Will Smith take 4. Will Smith, I'm half drunk, ladies and gentlemen, smacked his brother. He was very offended by it, and was sort of like, look, it was almost the point was like he was saying like, I'm going to kick your ass. I mean, he was like really mad about it. Chris might be a little more low key, he might, because he does know Will, and I don't know that they've ever acted together. But I know I've seen photos of them at events and NBA games. They obviously knew each other prior to this. Mm-hmm. And that's probably another reason Chris was so shocked. It's like, what are you smacking me for? It's a joke, And it was, you don't see that happen a lot. And even in crazy Hollywood, you don't see that happen a lot. So, I mean, which is good.
And, you got to think, too, like, what's going on in Will Smith's head right now, because I feel like, just from the way I saw the situation where he was laughing and Jada just couldn't take it. Mm-hmm. She was just like, and she's a professional too. She's right. Used to, like, all celebrities have people that don't like them.
Right.
And they know Chris Rock. It wasn't like just some stranger on the
right.
street just laying into her.
Well, that's what people are saying, that sort of, she's the one that pushed that button for Will to go do that.
And, like, you've said before that she's just caused a lot of problems in his life. I mean, like, you told me about the podcast where she was just going on and on about the affair she was having, and Will Smith is like breaking down over there. Mm-hmm. And it's like,
I saw this today. Now I saw this morning actually, and this may be totally fake. We'll see. I hope it is. And some guy said, "Oh God, no! Don't do it, Will. Don't do it." That's what he said. That she has said that. Basically, she said, "Well, Will's not going to talk about this unless he comes back to my little show, and then he can talk about it." The little, what they call the red round table. It's this red round table where she'll sit with guests, and that's where this whole incident happened, where she was talking about the entanglement. She called it the entanglement, which was basically the affair she had.
Yeah.
And so supposedly she's like, well, he's not going to talk about this until he comes to the red, and then he'll talk about it. And they're like, no, don't let her have that power over you.
I feel like if she
a lot of people are saying that she's just bad for Will.
Yeah. She seemed, and like, we don't know her. We don't know.
No, we don't know any of these people.
But I feel like a lot of the public opinion of their their relationship is she's just kind of not per se a control freak, but just like almost has like no regard for Will. Like, in a public place, especially as big as the Oscars, she made a big deal about the joke. Mm-hmm. Everybody's getting made fun of.
Oh, yeah. That's what happened.
It's not like he singled her out. She was the only one that got made fun of.
That's what happens, yeah.
But, she does that and expects Will to do something. Now, I don't think she expected him to do that. Maybe she did lean over in his ear and be like, Will, go slap the crap out of him.
Who knows? I hope she didn't.
But the fact for her to just kind of defamate her husband and publicize it on her podcast.
Is that the right word, defamate? Or is it decimate?
I don't know.
We're both drunk this morning.
You knew what I meant. That's all that matters.
I think
if you can figure out what I meant, everybody else can. Anyways, like, could you imagine? And we're not we're just me and you. We're just friends. What if we had a podcast and I'm just laying into you?
We do have
the
a
whole
podcast.
time. You don't.
Okay, just go on. Just go.
If we're doing a podcast and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just laying into you and you're visually upset and like it's being recorded
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just talking about stuff and you're like breaking down and I still post it,
Yeah.
Like, and this is of course if we filmed it too, like
Right.
that
If it
adds
was
to it.
video along with the audio. Yeah.
Maybe one day. But
Maybe.
like I couldn't imagine doing that to a friend or a partner or anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost strikes me as like attention seeking, because like most of the time when you have an affair, it's you don't openly talk about it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like why would you? And I understand like you want to be transparent with your
Right.
relationship, but there's got to be so much more stuff that isn't
Well,
transparent, like with the public and
right. And
everything.
I think that's what a lot of people are thinking that happened with, like that, he's been in a pretty crappy place for a while with his marriage, and there may be more stuff that we don't know about that is private that's maybe worse even, we don't know. But I think a lot of people are saying that maybe he just, what he did was out of character. It wasn't typical Will Smith, and the pressure of the marriage in the last couple of years, along with the red table thing where she admitted that, and then of course, she's rolling her eyes, and I don't know. I know for a fact that when you're in a really bad situation,
Mm-hmm.
you do things and say things that you ordinarily wouldn't do, and then you feel horrible about it afterwards. I think what is sort of shocking about it, because he may feel horrible about it afterwards. I don't know, but what's shocking is that he stayed there and partied and danced and had a great time like nothing had happened. I
Yeah.
think that's what's weird, like, because I think if that would have been me, I would have left and just sort of disappeared. Like, okay, I'm out of here.
Yeah. And the thing is, usually when you act out in that kind of manner and you say he didn't think about it and he just saw red, got angry,
Mm-hmm.
usually shortly after your head kind of clears and you can kind of realize what you did, what was wrong in that situation. And time did pass and he went up and he apologized to everybody, but specifically not Chris Rock.
It was pretty a thin apology, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I want to apologize to my nominees and I want to apologize to the Academy.
It was
Not the one person that he really should be apologizing to.
right, right.
So I think that says a lot too. That
Yeah, the whole thing was just bizarre, and the way it was handled was bizarre, and the way he handled it. Even though I'm not a big Chris Rock fan, I think he's the one that handled it the best.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and I'm sure he will talk about it. And I know he had a stand-up gig a couple days later, and I'm not sure how much he actually talked about it that night. I think it probably was brought up, but
well, yeah, there's no way it's not.
right.
Because even if himself doesn't bring it up, there's got to be somebody in the crowd at least
Right.
hollering that out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I feel like, honestly, especially just a couple days after, if he doesn't bring it up in a show, it's like it almost adds kind of a sense of awkwardness.
Yeah.
Like, hey, there's this huge elephant in the room and you're not talking about it. Like,
Right.
just
Right.
just get it out there and move on,
Right.
So that's my take on it. I don't think that I understand there are situations in the world that violence does have to be
If you're
included.
defending yourself,
Exactly.
self-defense, you're getting attacked physically, but that's not what happened.
No, I don't think you should ever just go right out and attack somebody unless they are trying to hurt someone else. And that's really the only thing I can think of. But to have words said about your wife, especially on one of the biggest stages that there are.
Right. Yeah.
And with live TV on top of that.
Right.
And to go up and do something like that just, it's not okay.
And the fact that it was filmed and will be seen forever is the bad part, because it's not, if something happens in public, then someone may talk about it and go, "Did you hear what happened over the weekend? Did you hear what happened the other day?" But if there's no video of it or audio, then it's just sort of hearsay, and people recount the story, and then the story changes and it gets. But this is there forever. So it's there forever. So you can't deny it. You can't say, oh, it didn't happen that way. Well, there it is. So the fact that it happened on such a big stage in front of the entire planet, you know, I mean, I've heard even that Will Smith, a lot of projects that were in the pipeline have been put on hold, like Netflix movies and everything. That they're like, okay, we're not gonna work with Will Smith right now. So I mean, this could be right or wrong. This could be really bad for his career. I mean,
and maybe it is a good thing that some of his stuff is being put on hold, because that holds him accountable, and maybe that can give him a little bit of time to sit back and reflect on all the stuff that's been going on,
right?
Like with his life lately.
Yeah, I mean, if he's needs help, because he's mentally not there right now because of stuff that's going on in his private, he needs to work through that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times with as busy as these people are, especially when you're like a main actor,
right,
like that, like a massive influence,
right?
Like if you're in a movie, you're the top star of the movie, like that kind of actor. Like I can't imagine how busy they are. So like taking a break for their own mental health, like maybe that's good for him right now. Maybe that's what he needs.
Yeah, maybe. I may be. Well, I think we've wrapped our new timeline, our time frame. We're at about the half an hour mark. So
yeah, I don't have anything else to add. I think we're pretty much,
and we'll never speak of this subject again.
No. Unless
there's
a slap next year, then
unless something else happens, and who knows? But
yeah. So one thing important before we head out that we forgot to mention at the beginning was, instead of Mondays at 9 a.m., we are going to now be doing Fridays, I think at, what did we say, 5?
I don't remember the time, but I know Friday's our new day.
Yeah, Fridays probably midday to 5 o'clock, I'd say. That way, you can watch it over the weekend. A lot of people have more time throughout the weekend, and if you typically listen to it throughout the week, just don't listen to it over the weekend and start it on the week. So,
right, start it on Monday like the old days.
Yeah, so whatever works best for you. We're just trying to get a bigger audience and get our reach out there a little bit more. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you guys like the new format. Let us know what you think in the comments below.
What episode was this, by the way? 14?
Dear, I don't know. It's been a while. It'll be in the title. It'll
be in the title.
Yeah. Okay, and we'll see you guys later.
All right, we'll see you down the road.